class, Vile here. I am thinking about the readings we did for Unit 1, Lolita and Tehran and Persepolis, having a cup of tea, and I wanted to review our notes that we did that you might utilize for generating your ideas of your paragraphs for the first essay assignment that we'll draft next week. So I'm going to go over those quickly, and then you can use the slideshow to kind of check in on that notes and improve your note-taking. There are 6 or 7 whiteboards that we visited during the gallery walk today to prepare for our essay. The first one was we were reviewing our background from the documentary. Notice I used a flow map just to structure the main ideas of what to expect in that documentary, and we listed out and discussed in small groups what were things about Iran that we know now that we didn't know before. We looked at the summary of Lolita and Tehran. I used the flow map again, and these are each paragraph of the text. We talked about the main ideas as well as some key details of each. Good readers should be able to summarize well. And I often take notes in a flow map when I'm reading a story-based work. We compared and contrast. Many students said they liked using lists more, but I asked you to try the double bubble. And we were pushing ourselves to think about nuances within the similarities and differences. It's kind of hard because Persepolis is kind of one page and kind of basic, but in one paragraph, we'll be comparing and contrasting. Quick question I asked in the fourth placard was, what is irony? Can you define it? Secondly, what was a line that was ironic in Lolita and Tehran? So irony is the appearance versus reality. It appears this way, but in reality, it's another way. I made a joke about my jacket. Let's say someone said sarcastically, "That's a great jacket, man. I can tell you spent a lot of money on that." It appears that that person's saying a compliment. In reality, they're criticizing it or being, poking fun. Sarcasm is one version of irony, but the irony is more complex in the work. There's really only one answer to it, and we've gone over it so many times. It's that line 40-ish in the text that is talking about the God-fearing bearded men. What are they doing? They're harassing. So the next placard, we quickly learned what I called the soapstone method. These 2 whiteboards work together for soapstones, and the acronym means speaker, occasion, audience, purpose, subject, tone. This is a way to approach a work and think about summarizing clearly and helping your reader have like a baseline of understanding before you move on to your bigger ideas. Some of you might use the soapstone notes to become your intro, or it could become like that first body paragraph. We looked at 2 poems, and we talked in class about which ones not only did we like more, but which one would Sanaz maybe connect to more. Lastly, we talked about how to quote, and that was actually the beginning of the mini lesson. I modeled how to do a lead-in, and then what do we set our quotes up like real writers do when they're using MLA style. There are 4 citing rules that I want to review, and I'm going to go over this a lot. Sometimes it takes about 3 times to get this at proficiency or mastery. So you're practicing this for the first time, or maybe it's a review from a previous class. Now, in my type of lead-in here I'm using, it's a complete sentence, and it's explaining to the reader what to expect in that quote. The author, Nafasi, teacher, transports the reader into Sanaz's mind, hinting at the student's hidden power. So now we know in this quote that you're going to read, Sanaz has got some hidden power. Does she realize how dangerous she can be if one piece of hair is out of place? I ran out of space, so there's a longer quote. Notice I'm using a colon here. The colon is joining my first sentence to the quote. It's saying, this works together. Look at this. Notice we have our quote marks. We have our page number. I don't have the author's last name in my parents because I've already said it in the lead-in. Finally, the period goes at the end. So there's 4 rules to think about. On the back of our sticky note in the activity, what did we do? We flipped it over and I asked you to write a sentence. Why was that quote most important? The activity asked you to go to Persepolis and decide what is the most important sentence, the most golden line of the entire page. You could only pick one sentence. There's probably, a few of these that are more golden than others, but there isn't like one right answer for this. Effective writers not only quote, they also will analyze that quote. They'll state something about it of their own thoughts, not just summary. And that takes a lot of practice. So we're going to be going over our quoting. We're going to be going over tone, note-taking strategies like the chart of soapstones or double bubble or the flow map. And we'll also have some other ways to do note-taking in the next unit. I'm hoping these notes help you generate ideas for your essays. We'll start drafting at our next meeting.